Hey, what's up guys, it's Bakes back again with one of my random horror reviews. Thank you for joining me again, or if it's your first time here, welcome. Today's random horror review is again one of the episodes of Masters of Horror, which if you're familiar with my channel, I like to come back to every now and then. Today's episode, or movie, however you want to look at it, is John Landis's Dear Woman. So this is a box set, but that's the episode there on the back, Dear Woman. Before we go into my thoughts as usual, we'll quickly go through the plot for this one. It is very reminiscent of your typical werewolf sort of movie or storyline, except if you can't tell, it is like a were-deer. It's this half lady, half deer sort of thing. In this one, these series of murders start to happen in this small little woodland town, and all the bodies are brutally beaten. However, there's like hoof prints and that sort of stuff always on the crime scene, so this detective, this cop that we're following, starts to unravel this mystery and starts to realise that the killer may not fully be human. So I'm going to sort of leave it there and we'll get into my thoughts of John Landis's Dear Woman from 2005. So as most Masters of Horror episodes are, this doesn't have a very long runtime at all. It's got a runtime of about 50-55 minutes, something like that. And honestly, this is a very simple Masters of Horror episode. There's not too much going on. That's just due to the fact that there aren't too many reveals or twists in this one. You should really know what's going on just by the title of the episode alone, Dear Woman. Like, if something catches you off guard in this one, I'd be surprised because everything's pretty much in the title. Even when I was going through the plot before, I was thinking, am I giving too much away? But really, I'm not. You should know. This is going to be about a killer deer woman. It's directed by John Landis, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with his work. He's most notable for doing An American Werewolf in London. And in a way, this has a lot of similarities. You know, replace London with this small, woodland town and replace a werewolf with this were-deer or whatever you want to call it. There are quite a few similarities. There's actually a reference to American Werewolf in London in this episode. These cops are talking and they reference this wolf attack in London back in the 80s or whatever, which is pretty fun and interesting. But typical to Landis's work as well, there's a lot of dark humour and, comedic undertones through it. So it's not complete horror, there are some light-hearted moments and jokes thrown in there as well. But with how simple it is as well, it's still really entertaining and quite enjoyable. Just as I said, there's not too many twists or reveals that are going to catch you off guard here. You should know what you're expecting going into it, just from the title of this episode alone. So one element of this episode that I enjoy, at least story-wise, is I really enjoy the unraveling of the mystery and the whole police investigation sort of element going into it, even though, as I said, we know what's going on just from the title of the episode alone. Our characters don't, and it's just sort of fun to watch them, find these bodies and they're brutally beaten, and at first they think it's just a blunt force trauma murder, and then they start to find hoof prints, and the whole unraveling is really fun. As I said, it's not too exciting for us because we know in pure black and white what's going on. However, they don't, and I still find that quite interesting. I know in ways it couldn't work, and maybe it will be less effective for other people, but I really enjoy it. One scene in mind that I actually really do enjoy, I'm going to try not to spoil it, but the whole have you seen her feet scene, sort of at the end of the episode, honestly, it gives you a little bit of chills, or at least gave me chills, a bit of goosebumps. I'm like, oh, it's actually pretty tense. These two characters talking over the phone. They start to realise that they're in a bit of danger. I really actually like that scene. Quite enjoyable. But as I said, this is a pretty basic episode, but still quite entertaining and does work. It feels a little bit more polished than some of the other Masters of Horror episodes. I'm not sure why. But as I said, very simple. Nothing here is really going to catch you off guard with reveals or twists or anything like that, but it is an enjoyable, roughly 55 minutes of horror, and as I said, with comedic undertones. So going into my rating for John Landis's Dear Woman, I'm going to give it, I was thinking a 6.5, but I'm going to give it a 6. Maybe I'll give it a 6.5, why not? As I said, I don't want to go anything higher than that because it is pretty basic. As I said, there's nothing in there that's going to shock you really. It's pretty straightforward just from the title. You know, there's not too many elements of substance there. It's just pretty black and white with what we're getting. You know, take away the werewolf from a werewolf storyline and replace it with a weredeer or whatever, and that's pretty much what you got here. But either way, it's an entertaining ride, you know, going from start to finish. So, leaving it there with my thoughts. If you've seen that episode, let me know your thoughts on Dear Woman. As I said, pretty fun for the most part. You know, nothing there that's really gonna make you want to you know, scream from the rooftops, but enjoyable for the most part. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thank you for joining me for another one of my random horror reviews, and I'll see you for another video soon, guys. Peace.